There's a lot of guys who think that like girls are just like hungry for sex, and it's just like so not true. They'll say, I know that it seems like my expectations are unrealistic. So they are unrealistic, but they'll stick to them anyway. That's the number one most frustrating thing. So if you look at all women as like, oh, they want that, they want the physical, like men, then you miss the boat completely.
Our next guest is a person who helped a lot of troubled kid like myself. I got kicked out of class almost every other class growing up, all the way from first grade to high school. I got kicked out, and she's a person that I wish that I would have. If you're a grade A student, I don't know if you would relate to this, but if you at any time had trouble in school, I think is such a good listen because she dropped so many gems and it made me feel seen. And I think a lot of troubled youth would appreciate this episode. And she's a dating coach. How long have you been in like a dating coach?
4 years now, almost 5.
4 years. What got you into it? Like what was the thing? What was the first like light bulb moment that you're like, oh, I would love to do this for people?
Oh, I've always done it. Like starting in college, I've always pushed couples to date each other.
Do you remember the first
up.
couple that you did?
The first couple that I remember, I don't think it's the first couple, but it was like, you remember college? You guys went to college? College, yeah. Right? Where you guys because you do everything together, right? You eat together, like you see your friends all day, right? So if I knew that somebody liked somebody else, and then I thought there was a good chance, then I would bug them. So I'd bug them at lunch and bug them at dinner and bug them after when we're hanging out and like bug them all the time. I'm like, you should go for it. You should go for it.
Have you thought of what drives you to want to have two people?
A poor sense of boundaries. Yeah. Yeah, very poor sense of boundaries, and I'm nosy, and it's like an itch, right? It's like, oh, you guys should go for each other. You should go for each other. And they're not doing it because they're afraid or they're worried, but then it's like somebody else is going to get them. Just go for it. I like you better than the other guy. Until I think what would happen, my theory is like people would get sick of listening to me nag, so it's scarier when they see me coming than to like just get it over with.
Oh,
right? And get rejected. They're like, oh, she's going to bug me. And then, in front of all your friends, right? Because everybody knows you like her, right? So then they would just ask. And then this one couple, he smoked. So the girl wouldn't like him because she was Christian. I was like, just quit smoking. Just quit smoking and she'll date you. And they dated for 1.5 years.
Oh my God.
He liked her so much. So I was like, just quit smoking. If you quit smoking, she'll date you. And that's exactly what happened.
Wow.
It was really satisfying, yeah.
It was really satisfying. What part?
Yeah. Well, because, it's good for him to quit smoking too,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And then to, be able to date. And, they dated, it was real. It didn't last forever, but we were young, right? So that's always been. And then there's another couple that I pushed together that have kids. They got married, they have kids. So it actually went on my bucket list.
What is?
During the pandemic. Being a matchmaker professionally, I wrote down a bucket list a month into the pandemic, and then that was number 2.
Wow.
Yeah, be a matchmaker professionally.
Wow, that's so cool.
I know.
It is really cool because I never met anybody that's a professional matchmaker.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So is there, how do you approach people? Or is it just your friend group? Or people refer?
Oh, it's everywhere.
Oh.
Yeah. It's always, for example, you're not wearing a ring, sir. So, the first question I would ask is oh, are you single?
Oh, no.
Because somebody's not wearing a ring. So you're always, even my daughter looks for rings. If somebody's very nice to us somewhere out and about, and they're not wearing a ring, she'll be like, Mom, he's not wearing a ring. I'm like, I know, honey, I noticed. But he's working. I can't bother him right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, even your daughter would help. Or get involved,
She tries to. I don't let her talk to strangers and ask them if they're single, but she's definitely, learned a lot by, just being there when I work in the room, when I'm Zooming or around.
Has there been a couple or a situation that made you feel like it was kind of frustrating?
Matchmaking? Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, matchmaking is 99% frustration. Yeah.
What's the most frustrating example that on top of your head that you could think of?
A specific example?
That you had to work through?
I guess specifically, but also generally, the biggest problem that you'll see is unrealistic expectations. And then people know that they're being unrealistic. Because when I say unrealistic expectations, it's like a thing because everyone knows that phrase. Like they'll say, I know that it seems like my expectations are unrealistic, right? So they are unrealistic, but they'll stick to them anyway. That's the number one most frustrating thing.
What is the success rate of you changing that unrealistic?
Oh, success rate, like number of people?
Yeah, like out of 10, how many people you have convinced with this unrealistic expectation to like, them recognizing that it is unrealistic and for them to adjust what to expect or how to approach the situation instead?
If somebody works with me long term, so like, if I have 6 months to a year with somebody, then they're going to see progress no matter what. Just because if they're seeing me, again, the whole nagging thing, it becomes like it's more worth it to just try it my way than to have to listen to me keep asking them to try it this way. Like a fitness trainer, right? And then the clients, because I do coaching for other matchmakers' clients as well. So the ones that I only see once or twice, I wouldn't be able to say what happens long term.
What are like a couple of things that you find work the best when you work with a male client?
A male client? What do you mean? Like what types of?
Like, is there anything that you would advise, like people listening that that if they, are trying to approach a woman or are approaching a woman that could?
It's kind of the same on both sides, but I think most men who have trouble don't understand how women think.
What are the top two things that you think that they think that, it's not that?
The guys who have the most trouble think that all women are out for sex and money. And that's all they want.
Wait, guys think that all women want is sex and money?
Yes.
Okay.
Sex too?
Yes, I know, right? So you guys do better. I could already tell. Because you're like, already proving 50% of the exam, right? Yeah, there's a lot of guys who think that like girls are just like hungry for sex and always looking for handsome guys to sleep with. And it's like so not true.
So what are some things what is true?
I mean, there's women who are vocally, sexually active and talk that big tough game, like, I'm going to jump on the app and scratch the itch and all that. But that's like honestly really rare. Most women, it's like the sex is the afterthought. They want to play house. That's the goal. Right? So if you look at all women as like, they want that. They want the physical, like men, then you miss the boat completely. Like they want you to hold their purse. Not all the time, but like every now and then when it matters most, right? They want you to play house, like walk with them somewhere, go out on that date, Netflix and chill. They want that experience. And then the sex is like the trade-off. It's like, okay, fine, now I'll do that thing you want, right? Not always. Women have needs too, but I think in general, right? Yeah.
How good do you feel when your husband opens the door, any door for you? Is that like a big thing that you think that like men should be doing?
Oh yeah, I mean, gentlemanly like behavior is always awesome. I married a ghetto jerk, so I had to like fight for those things. But he does them better now. Yeah.
What's this is kind of a side thing, but I'm really curious of what is the top two attributes that you love about your husband? The things that you appreciate most.
He's cute.
Oh, physical attraction. So it's not the bags?
What bags?
Like holding the bag, opening the door.
Oh,
you gotta be
no.
cute first.
Yeah. Okay, so sorry. When my husband and I started dating, I was like all I would take out with me is like my license, my car keys, and a chapstick. So and a
He
20.
will take the rest of the stuff.
And a 20. No, I never brought anything else with me. So I was never one of those bag girls.
So you don't have a bag?
Yeah, I didn't have a bag. Yeah, for him to carry. Yeah, but he drove me everywhere, so that works.
Can I tell you something, Helen?
Yeah.
I find the dating thing very interesting.
Yeah.
But I find if you're open to talking about it, but I find because I'm going to tell you something. You came in and you asserted dominance.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Maybe you don't mean to. Maybe that's just who you are. I find it very interesting. That's why when I tell you like I love knowing about people,
Right.
this is the part. Like I would love to know how you grew up and then what got you to choose your husband. And also I would love to know what really got you to choose to become a dating coach, because to me, I think most people, they would think, oh, she just wants to. There's two things. One, you love seeing people in love. And it's so hard to find love in today's day and age. To see two people together, that is so satisfying, 100%. But there's another cynical part of me, is both. Maybe is like, oh, it maybe is really hard, or maybe within the family there isn't enough love. That you're like, maybe is that, it makes me go there. These two sides. One is beautiful to see. One is like, maybe there wasn't enough. So seeing it is a beautiful thing. So I would love to know that side of you. Because to me, that's the most interesting. And then you also have like a ghetto side to you as well. But you have a professional side as well. And you also, to me, you seem confident, but you said you're also insecure about like being, maybe you have a bad side. So to me, all that is more interesting than like the dating thing, which is already interesting.
And this fool has like angular cheekbones. That's why he doesn't. He's like,
He has nice cheekbones.
Yeah, you have nice cheekbones. Oh, I'm sorry. Did it not carry? I'm like,
thanks.
because you brought up the side thing, and I'm like, that hurts. But I'm like, no, you're right, because you have like angles. Yeah, that's good. Angles are good.
I'm grateful, I guess.
Yeah, right. You should be thankful.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the relationship thing, so my background, 20 years, is in education. So it's private education. So it was like tutoring and then educational counseling. The last 6 years, I specialized in homeschooling.
Wow.
So like helping. And then before that, my specialty was at-risk and delinquent youth, which they don't call them that anymore. But I don't even know what they call them anymore, because they just medicate you, and then there's like no troublemakers, I think. But anyway, so...
Wait, that's the delinquent youth, what area was that?
Like a geographical area?
Yeah.
Orange County.
Oh.
Immigrant population. So mostly Asian Americans, some Hispanic.
So delinquent, like they're like kids who are acting up.
Yes. So
I would have taken your class.
Oh, yeah, but it wasn't like a class. It was parents would call me, and then I would work with the school to like work with the students. So, it's students who are being aggressive, getting into fights, or, defiance with the teachers and parents at home.
What's your tactic on making them less rebellious? Because I find that with my daughter, and I wouldn't, sometimes I would think back to we talked about this actually, like think back to myself where I'm like, well, I wouldn't even know what to do with my own self. If so, I would love to know some of the approach that you would take.
Okay. So like, I think deep down when it comes all down to it, you know how we like all like belly button gaze, where like you think about yourself and you're like, where did I come from? Ultimately my talent is like, I love growing things. So I've always loved animals and had a lot of pets, even like geckos and turtles. And they all knew my voice. So my turtle, if I say, "밥 먹자, it's time to eat," like it would come and dance and like, so like, even like spider pets and, like, so kids, are easier than dogs and cats and plants. Like they emote even more.
I fucking hope so.
So, they emote more. Like a plant, if it wants water, it'll droop, or it'll crisp up if it's got too much sun. Like kids, the same way, they'll show you when they need something. And like the biggest things that a lot of people overlook, because we overlook them for ourselves, is sleep, food, rest, and play. Right? Physical activity.
That's actually so good, because I feel like a lot of the times the delinquents, maybe they're just...
hungry.
They're hungry.
Yeah, they are.
Or they're not. They're fucking tired.
Right.
Yeah, they're sleepy because they stayed up late because they're nocturnal.
Or maybe they get their ass beat by their fathers and they stayed up till 3 a.m.
Right.
And then they gotta go to school at 7.
Right. And exactly. They didn't get enough sleep. They didn't get enough food.
Their name is Jason.
Yeah. And the funny thing about the dads who beat their sons, it's always the dads will beat the sons like 공부해, like study. Sorry, that's Korean. Like study. And then you go to their house, there's no books in the house, right? You're like, hey, Dad, what'd you read last week? And they're like, book? There's a phone book. I use it to hit my kid. You know, I was like, you don't read either, fool. Like,
Yeah.
Why are you telling him to read? Like, he got it from you. Go take him out and play golf, right? Or like go to the surujip and teach him what you do all day, right? Which is what I did, what I said, but like nicer, right? It's like, oh, he takes after you, so he has your skill set.
So in the counseling, the parents would call you.
Yes. So I'm in the house with the parents and the kids. And it was always the parents first that are the problem. It's never the kid is the problem. You know? The kid is the one getting in trouble, but...
But the parent... There's two questions. One, like, how did... Because I feel like it's hard to get into it because how would a parent just trust you? Like...
good question.
That, but also, how would you even... like, because a parent, they have their beliefs and they're grown adults. So how would you change them? I feel like changing the parents is harder than changing kids.
It is. You're so right. Adults.
So number one, the one question, how did you even get into it and have like a parent go, oh, okay, yeah, I'll listen to her.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the fun part. So my dad's a pastor.
Oh.
Right? And so... When I started tutoring when I was 13, and then it was just like go to people's houses, teach the kid ABC, you know? But by the time I was 16, 17, like, and of course me, I was good at studying because that's a natural talent in our family. My dad's a pastor that's studying, right? But my mom also went to seminary, so they're both nerds. But then also, you know, I grew up in a time where you get your butt beat if you don't do well in school. So all the kids who could, they did it, right? They're good at school. And all the kids who couldn't, because that's not their talent, they just got their butts beat, right? So like, you didn't have a choice. If you're good at school, you were good at school. But because I was good at school, the community, the Asian community,
they trusted you.
Yeah, they acknowledge you as like, oh, you must know.
You must be so good though.
Right?
Your grades must be so good for the Asian community to trust you.
The entire
You're going to be like top. But
but then also you get beat if you don't do it, so you have to, right?
Yeah, so that credibility.
And then pastor, so it's like, oh, she's not going to go tell anybody. We could trust her. Wow. So then I'm like a kid, and then parents are like, they'll sit you down and they tell you everything. Like they don't hold anything back. You know, money problems, family problems. The grandma and grandpa's there. They're telling you everything from their perspective. So you know about the parents' marriage. You know about the kids, the siblings, everything, right? The dog, you know, like everything. And then, you know, I talked to the kid, worked with the kid. There was a lot of like every money, all the money I made, I almost like, all of it. I'd spend it on buying them food because they're always hungry. And then again, it goes back to growing things. I could tell when they're hungry. I could tell, you know, like if your dog's here and he wants to play, I'm like, I can't focus. Your dog needs to play. Can you like go and walk him or run him around first and then let him just sit? You know, so like if a kid's hungry, they can't pay attention. So I would get my pay, we would buy food, and then we would study or whatever, right?
Do you feel like your parents gave you enough attention and love growing up?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
But your dad is a pastor, so was he really busy in doing that? And what about mom?
Of course, yeah. They went together. So if you think about it, that at the church there was about 150 people in the beginning and then like 300 later.
Wow.
300 families. If you think about it, that they visit everyone only once a year, that's like every night of the year. Right. But then they're visiting, like if somebody's sick, they're visiting often. If there's a wedding or a funeral, they're visiting often. So they were almost always gone.
For your son?
Daughter.
For your daughter?
Yeah.
Do you feel like because maybe the way that you grew up, do you feel like you are giving her more time? And
I mean, yeah, I homeschool her. We're like stuck together. Yeah. We spend a lot of time together. Yeah.
I just want to let you know that when you said that all the money that you made, or a lot of it, you buy him food.
Yeah.
That shit fucking, that's crazy.
It was really rewarding. Yeah.
That's really nice.
Oh, thank you.
Seriously.
Well, I ate too, though.
I just want to let you know.
We both ate, but yeah.
By the way that you walked in here, I did not think that was going to be a thing that you would say.
Do I walk funny?
And that's fucking, that is so beautiful.
Aww.
Fuck, I love that. I just want to take a second to just enjoy that shit. That's so good.
Is he from the East Coast?
He's from the east side of the world.
Dude, that is
From Asia?
Uh-huh.
that is so. I'm from Taiwan originally.
Oh.
I came here when I was 14.
Wow.
Yeah. My wife is Korean.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
It's masochistic.
wow, that masochistic. Wow, that is so nice that you did that. But so the parents is trust, so they trust you. But how? So already because of being the pastor's daughter, do you have siblings?
Yes, I have an older sister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She's like me, but classier. Yeah, she's my classy alternate ego. Yeah.
Do you feel sometimes that you're like, oh, I wish I was classier, or in your life, once in your life, maybe when
Yeah,
you're younger?
yeah. Yeah, because then I could be like dream of being a princess or like a queen, but I'm like, no, you have to be dignified and self-controlled and shit. You know, like,
That's how I feel.
I'm gonna be the witch in the cottage in the forest, like la 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 la.
It's so much
yeah.
funner though.
But yeah, way more fun.
Yes.
Way more fun.
Yeah, way
You can
more
do whatever you
fun.
want.
Yeah, and you have animal pets running around everywhere.
Yeah.
Like even if you're like up there, right? Even your pets have to be like dignified and like
Right,
yeah.
like this. I'm like, oh, that's so sad. It's like slavery. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And also, and also, yeah, when you mentioned that, because I've never heard it. I never heard that before. That like, I don't think anybody's mentioned sleep or food, or I've never heard anybody say sleep or food.
Yeah.
Like for delinquent
And
children.
physical activity.
Yeah, physical activity.
Yeah, like sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
Like I'd have them run around the Barnes and Noble 10 times. And
Yeah.
then they'd sit and like, you have a homework assignment, right? They can't do it. I'm like, run 10 more times.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't do it. Some of the really bad kids, I'd be like, all right, I'd chase them with my taser. I wouldn't tase it, but I'd be like, crack, run. Because they're so used to not doing it. You know?
She's kidding.
No, I'm so serious.
No, that would work on most. That would work on me.
Yeah, because they're like, my parents told me I have to do what she says. Like, is this
Yeah.
okay? But it's just because what happens after like 9 or 10 is teachers start giving up on you, and grown-ups stop trying if you're defiant. So the window of opportunity is actually.
How did you know that after 9 or 10, the teachers would?
Because you could tell by how people treat you. Like you could tell how at church or at school or even at a Barnes and Noble, how the adults talk to the kids. You're still a kid, but if you've got attitude and you're talking back and you're carrying yourself with the swagger, they're not even going to try to be all gentle, like, oh, little boy, do you need something? They're going to treat you like the future delinquent they think you are, right? So like, and then 9 to 13, there's still a little bit half and half where someone might try. And then 13 to 16, like, it's like the world's given up on you. So sometimes I try to just shake them out of that, and then if
With taser.
yeah, because they're like, oh, okay, now I'm scared, I got to run. But once they run and they feel the adrenaline and that satisfaction, of the cortisol levels going down, and they come back and they're sweaty, they find that they could do the assignment, especially since I'm giving them half the answers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I teach them, like, go to school, find a nerd, be nice to them, and ask them to help you with their homework too. And then they can at least pass, right? You could at least pass school and get your parents off your back.
9 to 10, but when was the first time that you saw that you're like, oh, like about 9 to 10 that you're like, oh, did the teachers start giving like them the credit, and then you notice that people treat them differently after that, and they project, how in the future.
So by then, most students, fifth grade, so fourth grade, fifth grade, the kids who are getting, like we keep joking, right, their butts beat, they've been getting beaten for quite a while, right? And it's always over the same things. So when the kid's sad because dad's, kicking their butt at home, and now they're getting bigger, so it's like scarier, right? Like we're used to it because we grew up with it. But if you look at your own kid, you're like, would I terrorize my kid like that? Like now we're softer, right? It's like if that kid could change by now, they would have. So from me on an outside perspective, I'm like, it's not possible. Like they would have done it to win the approval and to stop the beatings if they could, right? So that's when I started doing everything I could, all the different like tricks to see where I could like
taser is one of them.
Yeah.
What's
but,
another thing? Like, how did you find that? Like, is there like a general thing that you would do to, and then the improvements, what are the improvements that you see that they make?
So a lot of the tricks I used are now like considered holistic wraparound. And like they have them in schools and stuff, but I think a little more formalized. So things like some of the students I noticed they would have trouble like reading, and it seemed like a vision thing. So I'd print out their homework on colored paper, and I'd retype it, and I'd change the fonts and make them small and big. And back then the computers were new, right? So I'm all like, this is cool technology, Microsoft Word. I could make it red. I could make it like. So now they have books like that for kids, where instead of just reading all lines of black text, it's like certain words are big and certain words are italic.
To make it fun.
Yes. So it's more interesting, right? And then that would help. Like if a kid has to memorize a speech and they're stressed because they know they're going to flunk it, well, boom. Like now it's interesting, and now like we're breaking it up, and now we're practicing it.
Were you in school when you were doing this at first?
Yeah. It was like my side gig like my whole life. After school, vacations. Yeah.
When you were, so basically your like school growing up is just school, and then also doing this for other kids.
Yeah, I did a lot of other like odd jobs too. I think I did all the like basic ones: waitress, cashier, retail, office.
Have you ever had like a crazy phase that you did drugs or like partied?
Crazy phase. Oh, that's a good way to put it. Yes, of course. I'm a PK.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to see what's going on in there.
Yeah. I want to see that reel too.
You know what my daughter calls it? My heyday.
Heyday.
She goes, Mommy, when you were in your heyday. Yeah.
How long did the heyday last, and were you going to raves?
Oh my gosh, I was in my heyday, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, I'm married, and then I'm pregnant. I'm like, oh crap, you cannot undo this. Like I decided to sober up, and then next thing I know, I'm like, I'm pregnant. Like I just got sober, right? I'm like, and I'm pregnant. Like,
Wow.
You decided to sober up.
I went to therapy. I was like, I'm gonna be a mom. Like, oh my gosh. Like, yeah, it was intense.
Wow, you went to therapy.
Yes.
You didn't expect a kid.
No. Oh my gosh. We were like,
Were you married then?
yes, and we'd been married 3 years. Again,
Oh.
like we'd had trouble conceiving for 3 years. And if I tell you how old I was when I got married, so you'll know my age. But let me tell you, it's like younger than most people think is too late to have a kid. You know what I mean? But yeah, like we were going to break up because I'm like, this is not working out. We fight too much. And then we didn't want any of our friends to know because we're always fighting. And we're like, you know, they're just going to talk-ish on us and make fun of us. So let's just pretend everything's fine until like, you know, it's over, right?
Right.
And then we went to a birthday party and got really drunk. And then our daughter was scared. So it's like, oh, great. Like, you know, and then so I'm like, when we found out I was pregnant, I was like, I'm pregnant. And he's like,
Wait,
oh.
you were drinking?
No, later. I found out
like-
pregnant. I'm pregnant. He's like, oh. I was like, he's all happy, right? And I'm like, I was going to leave your ass, right? And he's like, well, you can't now. It's going to be fine. He's like, it's going to be fine. It was fine.
Well, it's not just fine. It's great. Yeah, 14.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Great. Yeah, it's great. I guess marriage is like a career. You know, there's ups and downs, and then everyone you love is going to tell you, like, just quit. It's too hard. You know, pick something easier, right? It shouldn't be so hard. But then if it's something you want, then it's worth it, right? And you see the gains, and you see that, like, all the sacrifice and even the humiliation, you know, it's worth it, right?
What is the gains that you care about most in the relationship?
The gains is the growth.
The growth in your partner.
No, in yourself. The partner's growth is important too, right? Like, because you have to grow together. But like, everything else in a relationship I could have done by myself. But being humbled and realizing, oh shit, I was wrong. You know, like that one was my bad. Like,
Wow.
that part would not happen outside of that relationship, right? Oh man.
That was it's just crazy because because I feel like you could have a strong personality and being Korean.
Yeah.
And to like go through that whole fight.
Yeah.
Or like fight with
I know.
And then when you said that one was my bad, It just seems like but wow, what a lesson to I don't, because I feel like you didn't you don't want to share but if there is one that specifically that you feel comfortable enough to share, that, or what was the thing that you learned that you got humbled, that like, oh man, that was my bad, and then you were like, wow, I see the growth in that. And did that change on your relationship, where to be like, oh, now I trust my partner a little more, like if he says a thing?
So trust is difficult. I think you can always trust someone to be who they are, but you can't always trust someone to act a certain way, like the way you want them to, because then you take away their freedom.
Do you feel like it's because for me it's hard, it's a battle every time, like I trust that my partner is always going to act like how they're going to act, but every time they do that thing, I have to actively remind myself, like, that's just how they are.
Yeah. So I think that's how most husbands get by, is they just like, okay, the setting on her is going to be set to crazy. And then that's how it's going to be most of the time. Yeah. So, and that's what's wonderful about men. I appreciate it. You know, like, yeah, because
there's so many things.
Yeah. And then I have a daughter who is now going through PMS. That's TMI. But like, you know, and so now it's so scary. It's revenge, right? Every woman should have to raise a daughter, because it's like, she's standing there in my house that, you know, we work to pay for, not her. And she's giving me attitude and she's glaring at me. And her face is like almost my height now, because I'm short and my husband's tall. And she's so emotional, right? She can't control herself. Like, I just taught her to behave, and now she's all over the place. I swear she only cried, like, you know, when she was a baby, she only cried when she was hungry or had gas, right? And then when she was older, she only cried when she broke a bone. She broke a bone in her foot twice because she's active. And then like one time she was bleeding. That's it. Like, she didn't cry a lot. When she's PMS, she cries 5 times a day. Bang! You know, and then like emotion on me, and she's unloading. She's mad. She's like glaring. She hates me. I'm like, fuck, like, this is what it's like for men, right? Like, I was like this every month when I was PMS. I was like this when I was pregnant. I was like this when the baby was little. Like, all the time you have this cute thing in your space, and it hates you, but it needs you. And it's just like, oh man, all the time.
So having a daughter also, the growth as well.
Yes, the growth. I'm like, this
Have you tried tasing?
No, chocolate.
Chocolate.
When she first started like syncing with me, we bought organic chocolate instead of like, I grew up with like, you know, all the good regular chocolate, right? Kit Kat, Three Musketeers, Snickers. But for her, I bought like the organic.
Wow.
And she has her little stash, and it's like, oh, sweetie, I think you're PMS. She goes, no, I'm not. I'm like, well, you know, well, you are, because I am, and I'm holding it in, so you need to go do something like USA. So she'll go and she'll eat her little chocolate. You know.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, it is. But I'm like, wow, how many years have men and boys when I was younger put up with this from me? And I was never grateful. I had no idea how hard it was. And you want to just, but you can't, right? It's like, and then it's cute, but it's also scary, crazy. So it's like, yeah.
I love that I asked you about what was the growth thing. And then it's also, again, it's like our kid that gave us like another perspective of seeing ourselves.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's another reason why you need to have kids. Yeah. Because it gives you opportunity. Oh, I love that. Yeah. He's trying.
You've been practicing.
Yeah, I love it.
I've been practicing.
Aw.
I've been studying, reading.
Such an Asian nerd reaction. He's like,
I'm reading the books.
Don't read the books. Don't
Can
read the books.
Can I ask you something real quick? Did you go downstairs and smoke just now?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was helping her find a spot.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see.
Get me, 'cause I was like,
Right, there wasn't enough time. I would have.
you smoke?
No. Yes.
You gotta quit smoking. Yeah. No girl, especially nowadays. So it's not the Christianity thing. It's no girl wants to marry a health hazard. They're all risk adverse.
That's the thing holding me back.
Yeah, it is.
Smoking.
It is. That's it. That's the only thing. Yeah. I guarantee you. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I quit smoking, and then you know this guy. Can I tell him about the pictures he sent me?
Yeah.
Don't. Okay. Yeah, I sent her pictures.
No, they weren't that.
No,
Whoa!
but the way you
No, no.
phrased it, I was like, okay, because now you have to explain
Oh
it.
yeah, yeah. So,
Otherwise-
so I just asked for like photos, regular profile photos, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like all of them, this image, right? They're like super innocent, very nice
He's so not.
Asian guy, right? I know. And then he sends me one with his brother, and he's all like Dailo. Like all of a sudden he looks all thug out, and like the oppa, like oppa, like where'd this come from? Really shown me like it depends on who you're with. Right? Like him by himself, he's like the Russell character, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Up. And then he's with his younger brother, and then he's all like thugged out.
But it depends who you're with. It does change you though.
Yeah.
Do you not feel that way?
Mm.
Or are you pretty much the same with him?
No, I'm sure I am. It's just, it was interesting that even physically, there was more of like an edge to him.
I
You
see.
could tell his
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
protectiveness. There's more
Yeah.
like, like in charge. And that's something he's lived with his whole life with his younger brother. And when he's with his younger brother, he's a different person.
Yeah.
He's more like...
When you, because I think maybe because of what you do, like as a career, and also now to be
we do have like 3 minutes.
Wow, that went by fast.
okay. Last question is that because of what you do, you seem like you're very eloquent and you really know how to like communicate. But is there? Because sometimes not everybody is open-minded. This kind of wrap back to what we were talking about before, but not everybody is willing to listen or change. And some people are very stubborn, and especially, I wouldn't say special, but in general, I think, a big majority of the people can be very stubborn and stuck in their ways. And maybe they sometimes are not intuitive enough to like understand the things that you might be wanting to convey to help them and their family. Is there a certain way that you can approach that situation to like get them to do something that would benefit them? Or do you not try to persuade, you just kind of...
So timing is important. All my career, from students to now as a dating coach, matchmaker, people come to me when they're desperate and they've tried everything else. So with students, it's be like, oh, I've tried the teachers. If they can afford it, they've tried therapy. Nothing works. So, and the same with the matchmaking. They've tried the apps. Most people who come to me have tried the apps for at least 7 years. They've been in relationships. They've lived with someone for at least 7 years. Like, it doesn't work. So the timing is now they're desperate. They're done. They want to lay it down. They want somebody else to help. So that helps. But then also, what I learned back then, what I do now is I try everything. Let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this. Like, and they're alternative methods. And one thing that I found helps a lot too is humor, the unexpected. Right? So sometimes the thing you're thinking that you don't want to say because it's rude is actually funny, right? That line between rudeness and comedy. And sometimes actually saying it like, hey, yeah, I do think you're kind of crazy. Or like sometimes you are scary. Like saying it out loud sometimes helps because it breaks the ice.
It's just funny. Also, we'll wrap on that. But it's so funny that earlier you keep on referring to your husband calling you crazy.
No, he's never called me crazy. He
okay.
doesn't have a death wish. Yeah. No, never, ever. Yeah.
Smart guy.
Yeah,
Smart
yeah.
guy.
Very smart guy.
He's never said that out loud. Yeah. But I could tell now when he thinks it. We've been married so long. I can see it. I could see it flashing behind his eyes. And I'd be like, I heard that. And he goes, no, you didn't. I'm like, you didn't say it out loud, but I saw it.
Helen, what's your last? Oh, it doesn't matter if you're not comfortable. But
No, Asuncion. Yeah. My husband's Filipino.
Oh, no. Your last name.
Yeah.
Oh, Suncia.
Because,
okay. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
because they're married, Yeah.
Well, Helen, Suncia,
Asuncion.
and Suncia, and Sucio.
Let's try again.
Helen and Sucio. Say it.
Asuncion.
Asuncion.
There you go. Yeah.
Helen, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah.
I learned a lot, and you're such a bright light, man.
Aw, thanks for having me.
You really are.
So nice to meet you guys.
And I'm really glad that I learned a lot from you. And thank you so much for being here. And this is I love it. This is why I wanted to do this with Will, because it changed my now because of the Asian background, whatever the things that you were saying, I'm like, oh, I could totally relate. And I think it takes not only I feel like some of them is genetics and some of it is nature and nurture, because you being really good at school is effort, but also you're gifted
Genetics,
as well. But to be a person who are gifted, but also wanting to do something to help others, to pass down like the part of the idea of a pastor, but in another way, and still be who you are, is I think so hard. And you did a lot of work. And today, you helped me out, and it made me feel seen. Like like, oh, I'm not alone. And I love feeling that. So thank you so much for your time and energy today to come share with me. And I hope the very best for you. And thank you for the work that you're doing, because everybody's life is hard, but to spend extra energy outside of your family to do that for people is so nice. And thank you for doing what you do.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
You.
Thank you.